आज ही डाउटनेट ऐप डाउनलोड करें। डाउटनेट पर होगा अब आपके सभी मैथ्स, केमिस्ट्री, फिजिक्स और बायोलॉजी डाउट्स का सफाया। बस अपने क्वेश्चन की फोटो खींचो, उसे क्रॉप करो और तुरंत वीडियो सॉल्यूशन पाओ। डाउनलोड नाउ।
The question says, name the world's most problematic aquatic weed. So, the answer to this problem is Ecornia crassips. And to write it, it has the spelling like this. So, it is Ecornia and the name of the species is crassips. So, whenever we are writing scientific names, it's a rule that they are having two subnames. The first is known as the genus name and the second is known as the species. So, whenever we are writing any scientific name, then we need to underline separately. Here you can see that I have underlined Ecornia separately and crassips separately. Now, this was the weed that was introduced into India because of its aesthetic sense, because of its beauty, but actually it created a lot of problems, and that's why it is commonly given a name as Terror of Bengal. The next part of the question says, what is the nature of the water body in which the weeds grow abundantly? So, the answer to the second part is eutrophic water. Now, you must understand what is eutrophic water. So, any water that has rich amount of phosphorus and nitrogen into it is known as eutrophic water. You might have heard the term eutrophication as well. So, eutrophication is a phenomenon where the water body is rich in the nutrients, and because it is rich in the nutrients, thus it supports the growth of algae also. So, this eutrophic water is derived from the term eutrophication, and yes, Ecornia crassips also grows in the eutrophic water. Now, what is the basic problem? Why is it known as Terror of Bengal? You know, when plants, they grow abundantly into the water, plants also carry on the process of respiration as well along with photosynthesis. And you know, photosynthesis and respiration, they are just the opposite to each other. Photosynthesis produces the oxygen and respiration consumes the oxygen. So, if plants are there in the water bodies, say if Ecornia is growing into a water body and it has enormous growth rate, that means it grows very fastly. So, while doing respiration, because if the plant has to survive, it has to undergo respiration. So, for undergoing respiration, it requires oxygen. So, if it is residing in the water, it would be using all the dissolved oxygen. And of course, if it would be utilizing the dissolved oxygen of the water, then the amount of DO or dissolved oxygen of the water will be reduced. And you know that aquatic organisms, they basically undergo respiration in water only. They have special structures called gills through which they utilize the oxygen content of the water. So, if the DO of the water is less, then the life of the aquatic organisms will be at threat, because they don't have tendency like terrestrial organisms. They don't have lungs like us. So whatever oxygen they get from water. And you know, the amount of oxygen in water is less in compared to the earth, and that is why the breathing rate of them is more. So if the DO is less, then their life will be threatened. Their life will be threatened means if the DO will go on decreasing beyond a certain level, of course they will become dead. Means the aquatic organisms, they will begin to die. That is why, because of its enormous growth rate, Ecornia crassips is a very problematic weed, because it brings the level of oxygen too low in the water and it threatens the aquatic life. So overall, the aquatic food chain is affected to a great extent. Thank you.
क्लास 6 से 12 से लेके नीट IIT JEE मेंस और एडवांस के लेवल तक 10 मिलियन से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट्स का भरोसा। आज ही डाउनलोड करें डाउटनेट ऐप या व्हाट्सएप कीजिए अपने डाउट्स 8400 400 400 पर।